Bitch, I can make orange rhyme with banana. Oranana.
This line has been keeping me up at night. It was a nice Friday morning. I was waking up, getting out of bed, and then I saw that Eminem had dropped a new album, a sequel to Music to Be Murdered By. And at first, I was thinking, wow, this album is going to be very cool. And I wasn't wrong. Until I heard the line. The Oranana line gave me a spiritual awakening that I just was not equipped for. So for the next few days, I tried to figure out what this line meant until it hit me. Unlike other people, I finally understood this song.
He said, eat a cock till your jaw break. Call it stuck between a rock. No.
This line wasn't quite getting the recognition that I felt it deserved, so I felt like I should make a video explaining and going into depth of what Oranana line actually means. And I have came to two possible meanings, American diplomacy and racial divide. And allow me to explain this. Oranana, I really do think dives into a lot of America's problems, especially with racial divide, when you take into account the summer murder of George Floyd and the ever-increasing poverty rate among African-American families. Especially in the beginning part of this extraordinary verse where he says, bitch, I can make an orange rhyme with banana, basically pointing out that there is no rhyme or reason for there to still be racial divide in this great nation. In the past few years, Webber has expressed his disfeeling for Donald J. Trump, who is described to be an orange tone, which explains why he brings up orange in the first place, again nailing in that point that he is not a fan of Donald Trump. And the banana line comes in because Eminem is exposing the racial undertones in America where people will call black people monkeys, which is an awful thing, but it just so happens that monkeys also seem to like bananas. So again, he is making a tie between Donald Trump and black people, saying that Donald Trump does not care about black people. Kanye West just so happened to have said the same thing about George Bush, but frankly, this isn't about Kanye West. But I very quickly ruled out this meaning entirely after I couldn't figure out why he would say Oranana at the end of this verse. It just didn't make sense to me. Until it hit me. American diplomacy. You see, for years, America has been at the center of controversy because they seem to have a fascination with putting their nose in places where it shouldn't be. Possibly because America started off a part of Britain, and if you remember, the British Empire owned almost all of the world, which definitely means that Britain put their nose in places where it shouldn't be, so this probably leaked into the American lifestyle a couple hundred years later. The banana line comes because a lot of bananas are grown in Africa. And if you remember, Africa was a large part of the British Empire. And the orange line comes into play because oranges were originally an Asian fruit that were introduced to Spain by Europeans. And would you guess that oranges were introduced to America by Christopher Columbus, which was a Spanish explorer. This eventually led to British people coming to the New World and kicking out the Native Americans just to set up their own country called the United States, or as the time would call it, the American colonies. And this really sounds like a whole bunch of diplomacy to me. And Oranana is a mix between banana and orange, which is kind of like a mix between Spanish and British efforts to make the ultimate diplomacy effort. So in the end, Skittle in this line was really just trying to express that America was founded off of diplomacy. But none of this really matters until we go to Genius's explanation of this line, which says none of what I just said.